ערב טוב, רבותיי, ערב טוב. בעזרת השם, in the merit of Rabbi Pinto, in the merit of Rabbi Moshe Pinto, מהקדוש ברוך הוא בעזרת השם give everyone big ברכה והצלחה.
Amen.
בסייעתא דשמיא הגדולה.
Amen.
מהקדוש ברוך הוא בעזרת השם open up the gates of Parasha, and the gates of רפואה, and the gates of בריאות, and בעזרת השם the gates of זיווג. מהקדוש ברוך הוא בעזרת השם מספר שפע עד בליטאי. May he hear all our prayers and he may fulfill all our heart's wishes. Amen. And for all those who are sick, מהקדוש ברוך הוא בעזרת השם סלם complete רפואה שלמה, ברמ"ח איבריהם, שישג ידיהם, אין רופא עליהם, אין רופא עליהם. In the merit of Rabbi Pinto, יגן בעדיהם. מהקדוש ברוך הוא בעזרת השם bring us to a complete Geula. Amen. You know what today, בעזרת השם, I would like to speak about, first of all, to continue what we spoke about with Rabbi Nachman, but also to speak a little bit about a few Zohar that I think are so beautiful and so applicable for today's day and age. You know what today I found a beautiful chidush in the Zohar Kadosh, which I think it is amazing. It's a Zohar that I never understood, but in the place at where we are, it is not for no reason. Today I was reading the Zohar Kadosh from Parasha Beshalach. The Zohar Kadosh from Parasha Beshalach essentially speaks about what? It speaks about Bnei Israel leaving Egypt, Bnei Israel leaving the slavery and entering into the Geula, and entering into the redemption. There's a Zohar Kadosh Rabbi says a statement that for years never made sense to me. There's a Zohar Kadosh says, Paro melech Mitzrayim, it's brought in the Midrash, ופרעה הקריב את בני ישראל לעשות תשובה. Paro brought Bnei Israel at the time of Bnei Israel leaving Egypt to a point of doing teshuvah. Where it even says that one time HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Paro were partners, where they worked hand in hand in order to achieve a certain goal, in order to achieve something. What was it? It was in order to bring Bnei Israel to do teshuvah, to get up, to change, to take a new path, in order to prepare themselves for the Geula, in order to prepare themselves for the redemption. Where did Paro actually act as a partner of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to bring them back to teshuvah? So the Zohar Kadosh is simple. The Zohar Kadosh says, when Bnei Israel left Egypt, as we all know what the Midrashim say, that Paro sent Bnei Israel. They left. That's it. Finished. Even after they left, he got up, gathered all his army, which is Veikach 600 rechev sus, 600 horses, and he went to chase Bnei Israel. The Zohar Kadosh says that Paro ikriv et Bnei Israel to teshuvah. That vav is HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Paro walking together in order to bring Bnei Israel to a point of getting up and wanting change. The Zohar Kadosh says the moment the Bnei Israel looked behind and they saw Paro chasing them, at that second, Bnei Israel, they said HaKadosh Baruch Hu needs to help us. So they all got up and they screamed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and they prayed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and they did a teshuvah and they took upon themselves a teshuvah, and only after then HaKadosh Baruch Hu was able to tear the sea and create them unordinary miracles. Nisim v'niflat. The Zohar Kadosh says, one time Paro worked hand in hand with Hashem. But la'atid lavo, at the time of the Mashiach, at the time of the Geula, which is the Geula that will come upon us, the Zohar Kadosh says, Paro will become partners one more time with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he will chase Bnei Israel, and he will put Bnei Israel in that same very place that Bnei Israel were when they left Egypt, where they were stressed, where they had fear, where they looked in front of them, they saw the ocean, when they looked behind them, they saw the army, when they looked to their right, they saw the desert, when they looked to the left, they saw animals. Paro will do that one more time in order to bring Bnei Israel and to chase Bnei Israel. This is the word they use. To chase Bnei Israel, to wake them up in order to prepare them for the last redemption, the redemption of Mashiach Tzidkenu. You know what? For years, I always thought, I said, what's it? How can Paro, in this day and age, get up and chase us and bring us to a point of doing teshuvah? Where is Paro? Paro is no longer alive. The Egyptian empire no longer exists. A concept of a Paro doesn't exist. So how can Paro get up and chase Bnei Israel? So for many years I said maybe the Paro, the B'china of Paro, which is the snake, that the snake will chase us to bring us back to a Geula. But today I found something that is incredible. That Zohar takes two words and breaks it down several times in Parashat Beshalach. The words V'paro ikriv. That V'paro and Paro brought Bnei Israel back to teshuvah. Now, but if you take the word V'paro, you see something that is incredible. If you spell it out, it's Vav, Pei, Resh, Ayin, Hey. Ve paro. If you take that word and you put it in gematria, you have the vav. How much is vav Rabbi Tzurel? Shesh, 6. You have the pei, 80. Resh, 200. Ain, 70. Hey, 5. How much has come up in total? 361. 361. If you take a word that we've been hearing so much that I don't even want to say it, but I'm going to say it because we have to say it. Corona. Kuf, 100. Resh, 200. Vav, 6. Nun, 50. Hey, 5. How much is that in Gematria? 361. The 361 of Paro is the exact same 361 of Corona. That is the Paro that is coming and is chasing us in today's day and age. And if that's not enough for you, Rabotai, I have even more. For the past 2 weeks, we've been hearing Keter, crown, crown, crown. The Corona is the crown. It looks like a crown. It has crowns. You know, Rabotai, a crown only belongs to one person. To whatever person does a crown belong to? To a king. King is what makes a king. A crown is what makes a king. That no ordinary person wears a crown. The only concept of a person that wears a crown is a king. So here you have what? Here you have a disease that has the same gematria of Paro, that wears a crown, that is chasing us, that is putting us in fear, that is pushing us to the corner. At the time of when? At the time of before Pesach. At the time when all the Nevi'im, and the Zohar, and the Kabbalah, and the Gemarot, and the Torah says that the time when Bnei Israel will be redeemed le'atid lavo. Rabotai, like we mentioned yesterday, we have now Be'ezrat Hashem 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks before Pesach. Rabotai, we need to take the opportunity to work on ourselves, to better ourselves, in order that Be'ezrat Hashem we will maybe have the chance to grab the opportunity of bringing the Geula. It's not for sure. A lot of Rabbanim, like we mentioned yesterday, think, Geula. Yes, the Geula could come. But according to the calculation, if you do the calculation, according to the Kabbalah, it's not time yet. Meaning, if he were to come now, it would be bezechut and not bekoach. As we know, there are 2 forms of redemption that can come to the world. One form of redemption, which is a form of redemption of merit, where we wake up, we do teshuvah, and we cause HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be so proud of us, where He's going to come and redeem us. And the second form is what? By force. Where the time was come, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a swear that He's giving 6 days, 1 week, for man to fix what Adam HaRishon destroyed, because we know every single day for HaKadosh Baruch Hu is 1,000 years for us. He gave us 1 week, which is 6,000 years in our count, in order to fix the world. In the end of that 6,000 years, it's going to start. Shabbat, the 7th day will start, and then He will need to bring the Geula. So according to the Kabbalah, we have a certain time before Shabbat starts, meaning before we get to year 6,000, where Tchat HaMitim will start, where the Geula will have to start. But according to all the calculations, and some have contradiction, it needs to start between 5 to 9 years. Meaning, so if He comes this Pesach, it means for merit. Not because the time has come. Not because there is no other choice. Rabotai, everything is lining up. We have to get up, we have to do teshuvah. If we do teshuvah, the window of being able to have the Geula come, Be'ezrat Hashem, in 2 weeks, will open, and it will be something that we can really bring to our reality. But in order to do so, Rabotai, we all need to get up, and we all need to change. So Be'ezrat Hashem, in the merit of Rabbi Pinto, in the merit of all tzaddikim, in the merit of this Divrei Torah that we're going to teach now, Be'ezrat Hashem. Bless everyone with all the brachot, protect you, protect your families, and Be'ezrat Hashem with all the good news and only the good things.
Amen.
But in order Be'ezrat Hashem that we will all celebrate this Pesach upcoming, and Mashiach Tzidkenu, Amen, Kim Yatsu. So today, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to continue what we spoke about, what we started yesterday, which is the teaching of Rabbi Nachman, 57, which speaks about preparation for the Geula, and what we must do in order to bring upon us the Geula. So like we mentioned yesterday, Rabotai, there are 3 steps that Rabbi Nachman hinted in this teaching that must happen before the building of Bet HaMikdash. Those 3 steps, we're going to break them down. We started a little bit yesterday, we're going to continue it, Be'ezrat Hashem. This teaching starts, we're going to do a small recap, a few minutes. This teaching starts with a Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin that brought Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma, the students of Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma, they came to Rabbi Yossi and they asked Rabbi Yossi, when will Mashiach ben David come? So Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma looked at them and he said, Mashiach ben David will come when this happens. And he gave them a code. It's like a code. 3 gates will be built but not be able to stand. And when the 4th one is about to be built, Mashiach ben David will pull the gate down and he will open the gate of Yerushalayim and the Geula will come. Now, you know, this Gemara is a Gemara that is not clear. Nobody understands where it's from. Nobody understands why. But Rabbi Nachman is here to teach us and to try to explain to us. And Rabbi, it just shows you how much things are lining up. What are the steps and what we need to do today, B'ezrat Hashem, to bring upon us of the Geula and to be excluded of what we called yesterday Chavle Mashiach. Rabbi Nachman Breslev starts, in order to understand his teaching, he teaches us a different concept, which is the concept of the hands of the Malach. Rabbi Nachman explains that all the angels are created by what? Created by Dibur of Torah. The words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said words. Every word that he said created a big angel. That big angel on its own already had just the existence of that angel as a reality brings sparks, which those sparks are essentially the machaneh, the soldiers of that angel. So you have big angels, and under those big angels you have smaller angels, and that's the different types of angels. So you have seraphim, ofanim, chavod kodesh, kruvim, different levels. That's another teaching for another time, B'ezrat Hashem. Every single word that HaKadosh Baruch Hu said puts an angel, creates an angel that takes upon himself a different responsibility. That every single angel is responsible upon something else. So for example, Michael, Sar Yisrael. Michael, the head of Bnei Israel. You have Matetron. What is Matetron? Sar Olam. He represents the world. You have Raphael, he takes care of the healing, and etc. and etc. etc. You have the ocean, the stars, the sun. Every single creation had an angel. Not just the big creations have an angel which is in charge of it, even the smaller creations. Where every single existing, any size, existing particle, existing form of life, existing piece of material needs to have an angel that feeds it life in order to exist. Because like we explained in many classes ago, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, it's like you take a cup, you put it up in the air. If I let go of the cup, what's going to happen? Well, the cup will fall. Meaning that even if I picked up the cup, I need to constantly hold the cup for the cup to stay in its position. Nachon? So the same thing is with the world. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, he put it up in place. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu was to stop giving it life and to let go, then everything would fall apart. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu needs to constantly give life, even to the smallest particles and the smallest existing things that exist, in order for it to sustain itself. How does HaKadosh Baruch Hu do so? By using the angel. What is the angel's job? The angel goes up to Hashem, absorbs the light from the dibur of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, takes the life, absorbs a sort of strength from HaKadosh Baruch Hu's words, and takes it down to the world, and with his left hand, he translates it to a physical, a material life. Because we have to understand, the light of the Torah is spiritually, but this spirituality gets transformed, gets converted to a certain point to a material life. And that's what Rabbi Nachman teaches us about the concept of two hands. Where the right represents the Kedusha, the right represents the spirituality, and the left represents what? This world. Right always, you compare right to good, left you always say, it's the left hand, the not good hand. Two things. Rabbi Nachman teaches us that essentially, in order for something to sustain itself, in order for a tree to grow, and in order for anything to come to an existence, you need two realities. Two acts are two acts are coming to action. One, the right hand reaching out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, taking life. Two, the left hand, being the more material perspective, gives it down and translates it to a material life. Two hands. And that's what Rabbi Nachman actually calls those two acts, the two hands of the Malachim. And we need those two hands in order to have life. As a result, we learn from this that everything any life, any healing comes from what? Comes from the koach, the strength and the life of the Torah. Why? Because it's a chain effect. The angel, on his own, he doesn't have life to give to the creation, to whatever he's in charge of. So the angel needs to absorb life from dibur of Torah, words of Torah, in order to tell the tree, grow. Or in order to tell certain particles that are used for medicine to heal a person. Or in order for certain particles to bond in a certain way, in order for a person to come to a healing. Well, that's what we say, V'rofeh kol basar. Where the Torah is the healer of all flesh. The Torah is the healer of all life. Why? Because if you cut the Torah, then the angel has nothing to give. It has no life to pass on to that particle, to that plant, in order to tell a body, or in order to heal a body from any sickness. So all the healing that exists in the world is a result of limud Torah, or more specifically, dibur Torah, the words of Torah. Rabbi Nachman says, if a person, chas v'shalom, damages the hands of the angel, any hand, the right or the left, that person will receive a disease, a machala, that no tufa, no medicine will exist in that disease, will not have a healing. Why? Because that person took away the ability of the angel to either absorb the life from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or the left hand to pass it on. Where you need both of those actions in order for something to have life. So if you want the plant that we're going to use as a medicine to have the attributes and the strength to heal, you need the angel to tell it to heal. Or you need the angel to give it the life in order to be able to heal somebody else. So Rabbi Nachman says, if a person damages the hands of the angel, at that moment, what does he do? In that moment, he causes upon himself a sickness that will have no cure. You will not be able to heal from it. How does one damage the hands of an angel? The Zohar, Rabbi Nachman is simple. When you go against imunat chachamim, imunat of tzadikim, and when you break the gates that the Rabbanan put us. And we explained about that a little bit yesterday, how today we see so much in today's generation how people are trying to pull down the imunah of tzadikim, people are trying to pull down the mitzvot that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us through the tzadikim. There's something about that we need to stop. Some people, they say, is it allowed from the Torah, or it's not allowed, or is it allowed from Chachamim? Meaning, is it just not allowed because Rabbanim said not allowed, so it's fine, or it's really the Torah that said that it's not allowed? Abotai, when a person brings upon himself a lack of faith when it regards to tzadikim, Rabbi Nachman says he puts on himself a disease that has no cure. And I truly, Rabotai, believe. I don't have to believe. We just have to see it. Today's generation, it's the generation where people fight the most against the faith of tzaddikim, and we find ourselves in a situation with all the technology we have, that there's a simple little bacteria that has no way to heal it. It's simply incredible. So now, how can a person like that fix the damage that he caused? How can a person like that repair the hands of that malach, of that angel? So we said something simple. Rabbi Nachman says, if he picks up the emunah that was dropped, that if a person brings him back the emunah of tzaddikim, and brings back the faith in chachamim, that they gave us the way in order to walk in the path of Torah and the path of mitzvot, by doing so, a person will be able to bring upon himself a healing. Now, we explained this Rabotai in a little bit more depth yesterday, of that disease is called imakash to Torah. We're going to put that aside. We're going to focus on the positivity. Rabbi Nachman Rabotai also brings us something that is more specific. That actually the first step of the 3 steps of healing oneself from this disease, or the first step of preparing ourselves for the Geula, because this is what this entire teaching was all about. This entire teaching is Rabbi Nachman bringing to us that at the time of the Geula, there will be a disease that will be caused because of a lack of emunah of Chachamim. And these are the steps that a person needs to take to heal it, as well as to prepare himself for the Geula of the Mashiach. When bringing back Emunah of Chachamim, Rabbi Nachman says there is an act that needs to come that directly repairs that place where it was damaged. Where it's not just enough to say, okay, from now on I'm going to start listening to the words of the Rabbanim, Chazal, I'm going to start reading more stories of Tzaddikim, I'm going to start to light candles to Tzaddikim, I'm going to start to all the mitzvot which are just the Rabbanan that I used to maybe neglect, I'm going to take them upon myself. That's not enough. Rabbi Nachman says what's needed is a direct reparation to that point. So how do you repair that point on a direct basis? Rabbi Nachman says simple. You go to where Chazal are able to control and you repair that. So as we know about the Torah has two different perspectives. One perspective is Torah shebechtav, the written Torah, which is the Torah that is not changed and will never be changed. That is the written Torah. It's a Torah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought down and Moshe wrote in the 5 books. That is the Torah which is permanent. It is not allowed to change it, not allowed to move it left or right. And the second perspective of Torah is what? Torah shebe'al peh. The Torah which is oral, the Torah that you can pass on from mouth to ear. The second Torah is actually what? The second Torah is actually a place where HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the strength to Rabbanim to control, to add, to fill in the gaps, or in some instances, to move with the pace of the world. Now we know what technology is, and we know that technology evolves. At the time, they didn't know the technology would exist, and then it would evolve the way it evolved. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, He knows from the beginning of existence to the end of existence. And He put this in place, this concept of Torah, which is bendable, Torah that we can add things, Torah that we could change things in order to evolve with time. Chachamim were given that strength to add things upon what was written. Meaning, the Torah shebe'al peh, the oral Torah, is a Torah that Chachamim were given the rights to add things and to develop. On the opposite side, the written Torah, you cannot develop, you cannot add nothing. Whatever it is, you can't change it. Rabbi Nachman says, that Torah that one can add upon himself, one can change, Chachamim can add, can change, can evolve, that Torah comes from a place of Torah that a person could move. Now, what is a neder? What is a promise?
Contract.
No. Neder.
A swear.
A swear, a neder, a promise, one that takes upon himself something new. Essentially, what is he doing? He is, on an actual level, using the second perspective of Torah. On an actual level, he is acting by taking the Torah and filling it and moving it around. Meaning he's doing the exact same thing that Chazal were permitted to do. So when one takes upon himself a new mitzvah, one takes upon himself a new good deed, what is he essentially doing? He's creating another lock. He's creating another a layer which no longer existed, which was given to Chachamim in order to move around. And when a person does so, he repairs that source. He repairs what was destroyed that was given to Rabbanan. So in order to start the reparation of the hands of the Malachim, in order to start the reparation of the hands of the angel, what needs to be done is simple. We need to get up and we need to start taking upon ourselves something. That when we take upon ourselves something, what we do is we repair the hands in order for those hands to be able to bring us a healing. And that's what Rabbi Nachman teaches us, is called Abir Yaakov. What is Abir Yaakov? Abir represents the Evarim of the angel. The Evarim, if we translate Evarim, it's limbs. The limbs of the angel. Abir. Yaakov represents what? The Neder. When a person wants to repair the limbs of the angel, when a person wants to repair the hand of the angel, what should he do? He should take upon himself a Yaakov. What is Yaakov? Yaakov is a neder, something that a person adds upon himself. Why Yaakov? Because that's what Yaakov did his entire life. We spoke about at the time when we were reading that in Parasha, in the Be'er Ma'chaim, that says that Yaakov, what did he do? He tried to take upon himself the exile of all Bnei Israel. He went above and beyond. He took upon himself nedarim and promises that he didn't necessarily have to do. So Yaakov, when you want to call something, when you want to take upon yourself a neder, Rabbi Nachman calls it to take upon yourself a Yaakov. And that is what happens. When a person takes upon himself something, he enters and he brings upon himself a Yabir Yaakov, a reparation of the limbs of those angels that cause healing to a person. And especially healing to a machala. That's what Rabbi Nachman says. A disease that has no medicine, that has no healing. Where essentially a person can bring upon himself a miracle by doing what? By saying, from now on I'm going to do this and this and this that I didn't necessarily do. And I'm doing this in order for Bezrat Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu make me a miracle here. Which people already do. It's something that we see often. That when people need a miracle, they take upon themselves something. And when you take upon yourself something, you can bring something which is above the nature. You can bring a healing to something that you didn't not necessarily even have a healing. Abotay, it's something simple. And that is the first step of bringing a healing and the first step of preparation for the Geula. Rabbi Nachman says, the moment a person takes upon himself something, right away, the Avot, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, they get up and they bring their light of life to that person. And they start to spread that light and to bless that person with big brachot. Now, what's the connection of to the Avot? How did the Avot come into this equation? So Rabbi Nachman says simple. The swear, what's the name of the swear? What do we call the swear? Bitzuriel? Yaakov. Anytime we speak about neder, we're talking about Yaakov. With the swear, what did you repair, Rabbi Tzuriel? The right hand and the left hand of the angel. What is the right hand attached to in the Sefirot, and the right hand is attached to in Yadam HaKadmon? To which tzaddik is the right hand attached to? Avraham Avinu. And the left hand, which is Gvura, attaches to who? Yitzchak. So you have Yaakov, which is a swear, and Avraham and Yitzchak, the right hand and the left hand, all those three are repaired. So when doing so, those Avot, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, start to work and they start to bring upon a person a refuah, and they start the first step of Geula, of redemption. What do after they bless a person? Rabbi Nachman says they go up to the Shamayim and they enter into a place called Oneg Shabbat. And whoever came to the Shurim a few weeks ago, we spoke about this concept of Oneg Shabbat, which if you translate Oneg Shabbat, translates to what? To pleasure of Shabbat. Now what's this pleasure of Shabbat? So the Zohar HaKadosh teaches us, as well as the Ramak Rabbi Moshe, the Ramak, Ramchal, Arizal, Rabbi Chaim Vital, they all speak about this concept Oneg Shabbat. What is Oneg Shabbat? It's actually a place in Gan Eden. That it's a place of sachar, it's a place of merit, it's a place of when one did good, he goes to receive the reward for it. Rabbi Nachman says the Avot, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, which represent the swear, or whatever a person took upon himself, and the right hand and the left hand of the angel, go to Oneg Shabbat, this place of where one receives reward, and they bring from that place light and life in order to bless a person that repaired those two hands by taking upon himself a swear and by starting to repair the emunah of tzaddikim. Now Abotay, what's this concept of Shabbat? Why Shabbat? So Abotay, what the Zohar HaKadosh teaches us, that everything that we absorb, everything that we take upon ourselves throughout the week, there is kedusha, it is good, there is a lot of good, meaning if a person now, and we spoke about this a lot even about tefillah, prayers, putting tefillin, anything that is done throughout the week, there is kedusha, but there is achiza of chitzonim. So what does that mean? It means that, as we know, in the world there is not only good, there's a good force and there's a bad force. And to the good force there is many different angels and many different messengers of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the same thing exists for the opposite side, where there's the bad force, but there also is the angels that represent the bad force, and their messengers. Now these messengers, which we call them chitzonim, which are, if we translate that, it means outsiders. Chitzonim, outsiders. They need life. And their life comes from what? From the same life that the Kedusha takes from. So they need light of Torah, they need Kedusha in order to survive. So they search for places where they have a achiza, where they have an opening, where they have a little bit of grasp on. And they go into those places and they start to linok, they start to absorb and to suck out a little bit of the light and a little bit of the bracha of a mitzvah, of a good deed, in order for them to be able to survive, in order for them to be able to live. Every mitzvah, any good deed that is done during Chol, there is achiza. Yetzer hara could enter, could absorb some. He could take even a piece of somebody's reward, which maybe B'at Hashem tomorrow we'll do a shiur about how can one protect his tefillot, especially at a time like this, when we have no minyanim. There's no minyanim. Minyanim is the best way of protecting one's prayers from the chitzonim, from these outsiders, from these messengers of the bad side. There's no minyanim, so all our tefillot are a little bit vulnerable or subject to be judged. So every single mitzvah that is done during the weekday, there is an opening for Yetzer hara to come and to take a little bit of the bracha, to take a little bit of the blessing. That's why it's so important to read L'Shem Yechud Kudsha Berechu before every single mitzvah. That when a person does L'Shem Yechud Kudsha Berechu before every single mitzvah, he locks all the bracha and all the blessing to that mitzvah and only to the kedusha and leaves no opening. But most things that a person does throughout the week, there is possibility that the bad side could come and absorb some life from it. On Shabbat, it is not like that. Anything that happens on Shabbat, the chitzonim, the outsiders, have no grasp and no opportunity to enter and to absorb. Where they are cut out completely. Where the chitzonim cannot come and steal a little bit of our reward. So what do the Avot do? They go to the place of Oneg Shabbat in order to absorb life from there, in order to give a person life which the outsiders cannot steal a piece of, which is essentially bringing him a complete new spirit, a new life, a new energy which he necessarily didn't have before. So, and this Abot actually is incredible of the concept of Shabbat. This is actually the second step, where the concept of Oneg Shabbat. As we know, Abotai, like we mentioned, everything that we absorb during Shabbat, it is clean. But that is not closed to just a mitzvah. That is not locked to just a prayer, good deed, reading of Torah, whatever it is. It's open to even material. To the point where Rabbi Nachman says that on Shabbat, even the food that a person eats is what? Even the food brings him healing. Why? Because everything that a person absorbs on Shabbat goes only to the good side, only to the Kedusha, and nothing of it can be touched by the Yetzer hara. Nothing of it can be touched by the Sitra Achra. So whatever we do on Shabbat, we need to know that it's going to matter and it's going to change. Rabbi Nachman says the strength that a person could bring down to the world physically and spiritually, meaning if a person wants to eat a lot, he can eat a lot on Shabbat and it's healthy for him. Or spiritually, when you study on Shabbat and when you keep Shabbat and you make it Shabbat of Simcha and Achdut and happiness, when a person does so, he can change everything in his life. And that's why, Rabotai, in this period of time, and this is the second step, we need to work on our Shabbat. And Rabotai, we say, if Bnei Yisrael were to keep 2 Shabbatot, what would happen? The Geula would come. To that point, Shabbat blesses Bnei Yisrael. That all what it needs is 2 Shabbatot. Enough blessing of 2 Shabbatot, enough reparation of 2 Shabbatot, and Bnei Yisrael are already clean enough to bring upon themselves a complete Geula, a complete redemption. Abotai, Shabbat needs to be a big priority, needs to be the biggest priority. When the upcoming Shabbat, Abotai, we need to do all our effort in order to make sure that this Shabbat is a Shabbat of complete Kedusha and a Shabbat of complete Ta'anug, physically and spiritually. You know, Abotai, this is something that I think is beautiful, that it said that on Shabbat, the more a person eats, the more a person has pleasure, the more merit he has. But to the point where a person that keeps Shabbat and he eats and he eats and he eats, and the more he eats, the more it's considered like he fasted. Where fast, when in the middle of the week, where you starve yourself, and eating a lot on Shabbat, that's the same effect. So if we all want to prepare ourselves for a complete tzom, it's simple. Shabbat, Friday night, you start to eat, you stop eating, what's a Shabbat? And if you do Zohar Rabbi, you will do the most pure fast that one can do. Why is that? Why is Shabbat considered to be like a fast? Abutai is simple. What is a fast? Fast is when one conquer makes them lechanot, to surrender. A fast causes the chitzonim, the outsiders, and Yetzer Hara to surrender. Shabbat causes the outsiders and Yetzer Hara to surrender. Why? Because they have no grasp upon it. Because they cannot take from the light of Shabbat. They cannot absorb from the Kedusha of Shabbat. So when you keep Shabbat, you bring all the negativity and all the bad forces and all the evil forces to a place where they surrender. They pick up their hands. And that's why we call Shabbat Shabbat. Why Shabbat? Shavita, you're going to take you're going to take your evil inclination and you're going to bring him to a place where he's going to be your hostage. How can one do so? Only by the keeping of Shabbat. But if one chooses to go the harder way, and he wants to fast, and he wants to take upon himself a tzom, what's this concept of? Why does a fast actually bring upon a person a cleaning of all the negativity and all the evil forces? So this is according to Rabbi Nachman. I want to make it very clear. Because Arizal has a different reasoning. Rabbi Pinto understood differently from Arizal. Ramchal has a different teaching. Zohar has a different teaching. It's different methods. Ramak has completely different. It's a big machloket between Arizal and Ramak. I'm not going to get into that either. But now we're going to study what Rabbi Nachman teaches about the fast. So Rabbi Nachman said that essentially, where does the anger come within a person? There must be some sort of cause. So Rabbi Nachman learns from actually a Zohar Kadosh, Parashat Pinchas, which Parashat Pinchas is the Parasha where the plague killed 24,000 people of Bnei Israel. But Parashat Pinchas is also the Parasha of healing, where all the methods of healing according to Zohar Kadosh are all found, most of them, in Parashat Pinchas, which is, I don't think it's by a mistake or by a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. It's all from the hand of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Zohar Kadosh says that the anger that a person has comes from his kaved. What is a kaved? Liver. That all the anger comes from the liver. That whenever a person is angry, it's ignited from the place of the liver. What is amazing that a few months ago I spoke to a doctor about the concept of the liver, and he said, the liver has its own mind. Some days he can be doing good, some days he can be doing bad. It all depends on him. So that's also something that is interesting. Whenever a person has anger, the liver turns on that perspective, that place in him, that causes him to be red, that causes him to be full of rage. That rage awakens a mekateg, an evil side, an evil force, which is called Esav. What's the connection to Esav and the liver? So it's very simple. The liver is full of blood. The liver is essentially what? Blood that became into like a piece of meat. And that's why the liver is very hard to eat in a cow. Because it's very red, it's full of blood, it's full of judgment. That's why liver you have to have a lot of shtiva erev, you have to do it on the fire. It's a very hard piece to kosherize in order to eat. The liver represents Esav HaRasha. The liver represents Esav. Why? Esav, what color was he? What did the Torah say? He was Adam. He was very, very red. The moment a person gets angry, he awakens Esav. And what does Esav do? He calls a group of evil angels to go and to curse that man, to likaterg on that man, and to bring sickness upon that man. Why? Something simple. Rabbi Nachman says, because when a man is calm, when he has Kedusha, when he is happy, he has the form of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the moment you start to be angry, you lose your form of man, Tzelem Elokim. And what does the person start to look like? Like an animal. So the evil side, the evil angels, they're afraid of the form of Hashem. They're afraid of the form of how we look when we are calm, when our heads are in our place, where everything is fine, when we are happy, we have Achdut. But they're not afraid of the form of an animal. So the moment we become upset, we give opportunity for the evil forces to come in and to start to curse us, to start to bring upon us bad things. And we gave an entire shiur about it, about where does anger come from, and why is it like Avodah Zarah. That's for a beautiful shiur, beautiful shiur. So, that's why another thing to add maybe we can say Rabotai, that in today's day, in this period of time, we have to be so careful from anger. Because the anger is essentially what? The anger is essentially brings upon us bad, brings upon us curses and sickness and all the bad things in the world come upon us when we have thoughts of anger. According to Arizal Bichlal, we spoke about it differently. When a person is angry, he brings upon himself nibur neshama. He brings upon himself a bad neshama. When evil neshama can come into him and push his good neshama out. Something that is incredible, it is scary. We have to work on our anger. It's the most important thing right now in this time. Very, very important. When a person fasts, what does he essentially do? Rabbi Nachman says he weakens the liver. If you weaken the liver, you also weaken the concept of anger. If you weaken the concept of anger, you protect a person from the chitzonim by keeping the form of man. Because when you keep the form of man, no evil force will try to touch you, to take from your bracha, to make you sick, because you have the form of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzelem Elokim. And that is why Rabotai, Tzom is a possibility. We can do a fast. I know that tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, they're announcing a fast, of a worldwide fast. The fast is good. Whoever can do it, Baruch Hashem tavo alav bracha. But whoever can't, it's the Shabbat. We have to work on the Shabbat, Rabotai. Shabbat is in a few days. We have to prepare ourselves already from now. We're already a few days late for preparation of Shabbat. We should have started on Sunday to be ready on the Shabbat to come, B'ezrat Hashem. So, Rabotai, let's start putting things together. Now, first step was taking upon yourself something good. Second step, the concept of keeping the Shabbat in order to protect yourself. So once a person takes upon himself a swear, a new mitzvah, strengthens his emunah in tzaddikim, and protects the Shabbat, 2 steps are already in place. But now Rabbi Nachman says, you have all the ingredients. All the ingredients are put in place in order to reach to a healing, in order to reach to a Geula. Because Shabbat is emunah chachamim is emunah of the Torah, and by doing both of those things, you already have enough to bring Geula. That's it. 2 acts. Taking upon yourself something and Shabbat. 2 things. That's all you need. But you have all the attributes, but there is no peace amongst those attributes. What does that mean? It means that sometimes we can have all the good qualities for success. We can have all the good qualities for something good. It's like a recipe. Sometimes you have some recipes that you have to put maybe the flour before the water or the eggs before the sugar, because if you don't put it in that exact order, even if you have the same ingredients in the same amount, it's not going to come out the same. You need a peace. You need something to come and to settle all the aspects down in order for it to be complete. So now that you have Emunat Chachamim, Torah, the Shabbat, which are amazing aspects, you need the last one. And the last one is going to bring Shalom. The last one which brings peace amongst all those attributes. And not even that. You have a spiritual strength and a physical strength. You have a physical reality and a spiritual reality. How can we cause both of these now to come together? One thing. Rabbi Nachman says, it's the one thing, what we call it. When a person does tzedakah, and he gives tzedakah, he brings shalom into the equation. When a person brings tzedakah, and he gives tzedakah, he brings shalom amongst all these moving parts. And here, Rabotai, something that is incredible, Rabbi Nachman, it brings an analogy, which I don't think is for no reason, where it compares it to what? he compares it to Pesach, where he says, what's the difference between chametz and matzah? Chametz, bread, is made of water and flour. Matzah is made out of what? Water and flour. On Pesach, chametz, same ingredients, is nichata nefesh ha'imyana, karet, and the same ingredients, Pesach, same ingredients is what? Matzot, which is a mitzvah. What's the difference between them? Why is one not allowed and one unaccepted and one thrown to the garbage on the holiday of the Geula, and the other one is amazing? So Rabbi Nachman says simple. The tzedakah. But I thought about something that's even more specific. On Pesach, what do we give? Kimcha de pischa. If you take the words Kimcha de pischa, what's the translation? What's the exact translation of Kimcha de pischa?
Flour for Pesach.
The flour for Pesach. It doesn't even speak about tzedakah. It's the flour for Pesach. We compare it and we call it to the tzedakah. So what's the difference between the chametz, which is all these states, all these amazing attributes, and the matzot, the tzedakah, the kimcha de pischa, the flour that we give to the poor, the part of us which we contribute to someone else, that takes all those attributes and puts them in a complete harmony in order for a healing and in order for a person to be ready for the Geula. Abotai, first one, repairing the emunah of tzaddikim, which comes together with taking upon yourself a mitzvah, a good deed, lighting a candle to a tzaddik, learning more, helping one another. Second one is keeping Shabbat, but making Shabbat a real oneg, spiritually and physically. And the third one is what? The third one is a tzedakah, that one comes and he helps the other. Now, but the concept of tzedakah is also so applicable to today. We say, tzedakah tatzil mimavet. Tzedakah saves a person from death. We say, but even more so. Lately, we've been reading a lot about machatzit shekel. A few parashot. What's machatzit shekel? Machatzit shekel was half a coin that every person gave in order to count Bnei Israel. But it said that machatzit shekel was kofer nefesh, was like a kapara, was like a cleaning for that person's soul. And if he gave machatzit shekel, no sickness, no plague will come upon him. That's in the Torah. It's in Parasha Kitisa. Black and white, third pasuk from the beginning of the Parasha. Kitisa. If you take the word machatzit, Rabbi Tzur, how do you spell the word machatzit? Mem, chet, tzadik, yud, taf. That's how you spell machatzit. Yes. Take the two last letters. What are the two last letters, Rabbi Tzuriel?
Yud and taf.
No, the first and the last.
The first and the last?
Ken. Mem spells what? Met. Take the two letters that are left. The first one, the last one, what is it? Chet and yud. Put it aside, what does that mean? Chai. What is chai? Life. So you have death and life, and what's in the middle? Tzadik. Which tzadik represents what? Tzedakah. The tzedakah. When you give the tzedakah, that's what splits between the bad and the good, the life and the death. Now, how does this all explain, Rabotai, the story of the Gemara? How does this connect to the story of the Gemara? So Rabbi Nachman says, Rabotai, something simple. When Rabbi Yochanan ben Kesman was explaining and he was teaching us what are the three gates that are built, that are attempted to be built and are destroyed, and the fourth one, Ben Yishai, David HaMelech, the Geula will come, he says something like this. When a person loses his emunah and tzaddikim, and when a person leaves the path of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and starts to create his own path, what does he build? He builds a Sha'ar Aram. What is a Sha'ar Aram? Rabbi Nachman says it is a gate that surrounds him of evil inclination, where he puts in front of himself a gate where all the evil forces can come, can put on him sickness, can put on him bad things, can punish him, and he's inside their territory. He's a part of that group. So what needs to happen? What needs to happen is a breaking of that gate, a breaking of that boundary that he put around himself that belongs to the Yitzhak. When one goes against Chachamim and goes against Tzadikim, he builds that gate of evil inclination. Once a person gets up and starts to repair the Emunah in Chachamim, what happens in that moment? He breaks the gates. He frees himself from Yetzer Hara, from the evil inclination. But now what does Yitzhara do? Yitzhara says, you're breaking the gate that belongs to me. If someone tries to break your gate, what are you going to try to do? Put it back. You're going to build it back. You're going to put it back to where it fell. So the Rabbi Nachman says, that's the answer. That's the explanation. 3 gates will be attempted to be built, and the 4th one, Mashiach will come and build it. How is that? When a person gets up and he wants to do teshuvah, he broke the first gate that the Yitzhara has around him. When Yitzhara sees that the gates fell, Yitzhara, the evil inclination, comes and starts to try to attempt to put back that gate. What happened in that moment? A person took upon himself a mitzvah. He did the first step. He took upon himself a swear. He took upon himself something that he's not used to doing. So the first time Yitzhara tried to put back the gates, he came and he drops it with what? With the strength, with the koach of that mitzvah that he took upon himself. The moment the gates fell the first time, what does Yitzhara do? He comes and he tries to do what? He tries to put it back the second time. Tries to rebuild those gates that belong to the evil inclination. The moment he tries to build it the second time, what comes and breaks it? The koach of Shabbat. The mitzvah of Shabbat. Where the Shabbat frees him from all of the slaveries of this world and keeps him free. And that's where the gate falls the second time. The 3rd time, where Yitzhara comes to build the gate, and he tries to lift back, tries to reconstruct it. What breaks it? The tzedakah. Where the tzedakah comes and destroys the gate that Yitzhara is trying to rebuild. And the 4th time, when Yitzhara comes and he tries to put back the gate, what happens? Mashiach ben David, the Geula, the redemption comes, and Mashiach ben David holds the gate and pulls it down, opens the gates of Yerushalayim, and brings the redemption. And that, Rabotai, are the steps that we all need to take upon ourselves in order to bring upon us and upon Klal Am Yisrael a redemption. And that is the Gemara, that 3 gates will be attempted to be built, and on the 4th, the Mashiach will come and construct the gates of Yerushalayim. Rabotai, if we have any chance of really bringing the Geula in 2 weeks, we need to take these 3 steps. What are these 3 steps? First of all, take upon ourselves teshuvah. By doing teshuvah, we have to take upon ourselves something. Second of all, making the Shabbat a real oneg of Shabbat. And third of all, participating, contributing something. It doesn't have to be money. It could be time, it could be a phone call, it could be you see a neighbor that's going through a hard time, you could call him. You don't have to meet him even, you can call him. How is he doing? Anything about that we contribute one to the other is like tzedakah. Those 3 steps, Rabotai, are the steps that are needed in order to bring Mashiach Tzidkenu Latid Lavo Amen Kinyatzon. So may the merit of Hashem, all the Zohar, all the Rabbi Nachman, and the merit of all Tzadikim, may HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'ezrat Hashem open up the gates of Parasha and the gates of Teshuvah and the gates of Hatzlacha, and we all reach to a complete Teshuvah in order to get to Mashiach Tzidkenu Amen Kinyatzon.